Might have screwed up again.
Who knows? Brother.
What's up?
What's going on? How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good.
That's what I wanted.
Into my seltzer drinks.
That's right, man.
They taste so darn good.
It just tastes so darn good. Man, I've taken forever to get the show started today, so unfortunately I've got the man drinking.
Oh man,
they're tasty, so it's cool.
It's really are the way to go. Don't tell White Claw I'm cheating on them, but I saw these and thought it's kind of seltzer, rosé, Smirnoff kind of thing. So like, hey, I like girly drinks, so
I'm gonna find out. That's cool, man.
Get it down. But I'm Jared, by the way.
I'm Josh. It is good to be here, my man.
Man, what's up? My only bit of local news and business is when all the whole Corona shebang bang started. One of the things that came up, like of all the things that could possibly get postponed, delayed, canceled, what's going to happen to the Peachtree Road Race? And I was like, regardless of what they do, there are going to be enough crazy people show up and try to do it. So I didn't think it would get straight up canceled. And everybody's gone through the registration process, and numbers haven't been sent out yet, but if you got one or not. But it has been postponed. So, which, when at first I was like, bummer. But it's going to make it unique because it will be the first time. It's traditionally run 4th of July morning. It is being moved to Thanksgiving Day. Which at first I was kind of like, I bet there's going to be a lot of numbers available for transfer if you're looking for one. You'll probably be able to get one. 'Cause I don't know if that date's going to work for a lot of people trying to do it. Plus, the Atlanta Track Club had a few years ago started the Publix half marathon on Thanksgiving Day. So I don't know what's going to happen with that as far as at least that had been the tradition. I'm sure that'll get moved, and maybe people were like, listen, we can't do this on Thanksgiving. So I think that was already in the plans to have that one moved regardless. But I think it's going to be more in March this year from what I've saw on the schedule. But I don't know if that was originally planned or if that just had to be moved because we're not going to make people choose one over the other. It's most people, not me, most people that are going to want to try to do both regardless. So anyway, that's like my one shift change. And I can already picture the T-shirt of the sliced peach in the shape of a turkey, but with legs coming off the side of it. So it's going to make it different and unique. I'm afraid what's probably going to happen is it's going to get moved to that day, and people are going to be like, man, weather was pretty good. Maybe we should do this that way for the rest of the time.
That's the first thing I thought of, too, is if we're talking about the two big races in Atlanta being in November and March, man, that's a whole hell of a lot better than July, man.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid you said they were going to bump it back. I'm like, God, I hope they're not doing it a month. It's the only thing worse than running around in July is running around in August. But
yeah, how can we make this worse?
Yeah, seriously, man. Sorry, but November, that's cool. That's a really good idea.
It will probably end up being really good. Is what I'm afraid. And people will be like, we'll have two.
Yeah, seriously, man, that's cool.
And I even with the news coming out that it's getting bumped, I still think there are going to be enough crazy psycho people that are going to try to do it anyway. But to try to run that course without, because it's not just 20,000, 70,000 people that go down there and run. It takes a lot more than that. Without the benefit of having roads blocked off and the police and all the volunteers to help you, you'll get run over and you'll just be dead.
Absolutely, yeah. If you try and do a marathon with no organization, enjoy your short ass life. That's just
So I just got a feeling there's going to be a group of people to try to do it. And, if it means stopping at every red light and it taking 4 hours, then fine. But there's going to be somebody get out there and try to do it anyway. But that was my first initial thought when the notion was even hinted that, maybe it won't happen. But somebody's going to try to do it, whether it's official or not. Whether, Piedmont's open for you or not, they're going to try to get it on. So, but at the same time, it's like, at first I was kind of bummed out, but then I was like, this could be an improvement, because I've experienced both sides of it. I've gotten up on the 4th of July and gone down there and it be overcast and perfect. I've done it in the pouring rain, and then it's been hot as balls. But it's really, it's on the hot days, I think it's fine until you get into downtown over the 75, 85 bridge, when you have no trees whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
To block
you. Just out there cooking.
Yeah, that's when you really kind of like, this why do I do this?
Talking about hot weather activities in the state that could use for a rescheduling.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. It would not hurt my feelings if Dragon Con got bumped back a little bit, just a little bit. MomoCon's always had the better time slot, man. So I think that would be kind of great. I would love. We always said we always thought it would be cool if they would do 2 Dragon Cons a year. You can have Dragon Con in the summer, and then you can have Dragon 2: The Wrath of Khan in the fall. Because that's totally what it should be called.
Because it's the convenience of it is just it being Labor Day weekend, but at the same time, you never know weather-wise. It could be roasting, and that's like right when college football is kicking off. Yep. So it's like, man, that's a lot to compete with going on downtown. It makes for a bunch of folks that there's already a big enough crowd coming to the con in the first place.
It is.
Adding even more people on top of that. And it's hot. I don't want to do this.
Yeah, that's my thing about Dragon Con, particularly. Like, performers is not the right word, but some of the more elaborate costuming, I mean, they're a heat stroke waiting to happen. I don't know how they do it. It's like the kids at Disney. I don't know how anybody ever does those costumes in Orlando in August. I'm like, good Lord, how do you do this, man?
It's like what got them strictly, timed out, to like 15 minutes, but that's easier said than done, Yeah,
man. Put you on one of those parades or one of those floats. It takes 45 minutes from beginning to end. It's like, golly, man.
Gotta swap them out somehow.
Yeah, seriously, man. But I'm being selfish in that regard, because I really like Dragon Con, but man, when it's dead summer, it's like, nah, man, I can't do it.
I'm one of those nerds that still likes to go to the Renaissance Festival. And back in the day, back when I was in high school, I guess, you had a May, June, couple weeks run, so from Mother's Day till Memorial Day or something like that. And then you would have it also in the fall, but it just got cut to just the summertime one. It's like, man, I still want to go, but it kind of sucks. Luckily this year it's getting bumped to the fall again. So like, well, maybe they'll realize that, this was the way it was intended to be. But I think the crowd that puts those on have so many going on. Yeah. It's like we just had to rotate,
Yeah, just get it when you can.
So we just got stuck with the summertime end of the stick.
Yeah, I understand.
Way more easier to go around in the woods in the fall than it is, May, June.
Particularly with something like the Renaissance Festival, which is going to have a lot of open flame activities. There's lots of bonfires and whatnot. Like, man, this would be so much better if it's a little bit crisp out here.
It's help us all out.
Yeah, for real, man.
For all of us. For all
of us. I like a big old turkey leg as much as the next fella. But my goodness gracious, is it warm? Gracious, is it warm?
I hate to sweat when I eat. It makes me feel all self-conscious.
Seriously, I can't be having that.
I'm not gonna stop.
Take a big bite of turkey leg. Oh man, I want to make a spectacle of myself or nothing. This is awful.
Surfing winch.
Oh,
Here. Well,
just throw up all over yourself. Man, we just described a perfect day at the Ren Fest. Excuse me.
It is glorious.
For real,
man, I guess the number one thing I had to check in on this week was my weekly viewing of Dark Side, and it just keeps getting better and better.
I was telling the man, I haven't caught up because I still haven't seen all of Snuka, but I think that's the only one I haven't finished. I'm with you. I caught Dino Bravo and I watched Dr. D, so I think we can have good conversations.
Yeah, man. But man, this is just one of those episodes with when I first saw the trailer, I was like, man, I was kind of surprised. And they actually got John Stossel to sit down with him, and then the episode starts, you're like, he's just going to show up anywhere where there's a camera.
Yep. Yeah, totally. That was like we were talking about last time, man. So I'm with you. It's like, this is cool. It's cool that Stossel's doing it. Then it occurred to me, it's like, this is all anyone remembers him for. And that guy that Dr. D puts in jail doesn't remember him for. That's my favorite thing on the whole show. We'll get to it in a second.
Oh, man, it was just one of those kind of episodes. It's like, man, this is a movie. This has got to be something that somebody will commit to, something like that one of these days. And man, it was just awesome. And it's one of those kind of, even when it comes to David Schultz, you're kind of like, some of the stories, like I don't know if I buy your version of it, but I like your version of it. It's pretty entertaining.
Yeah, God, who was it? It had to have been Corny and Last, and they were discussing. Shoot, I don't remember. I think they were somehow got on the story about. I know what it was. Corny was talking about Stossel, and then he was talking about the Hulk Hogan Richard Belzer thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And he was talking about how, I think it was Brian Last points out, he's like, oh yeah, that's that front face lock that he put on Vern that one time, right? When they got all upset in the office, and both of them are like, And it's like, man, if you are a known bullshitter in wrestling, if you are to the point that you're not even BSing, you are point blank called a liar.
Yeah.
Hogan is like Paul E level. He has to be, because they just mock him so much for his self-aggrandizing, and it's like they all do that. So if you are known, that's just
the worst of all.
Absolutely pitiful, man. But then again, this is somebody. Let's be blunt. This is somebody who has a transcript on an official court document where he explains that, the penis in the video belongs to Terry Bollea. Hulk Hogan's penis is actually much bigger than that. He said this straight-faced, and he honestly believes it. Like, man, why are you not in the current cabinet of the President of the United States? He can use a guy like you, Hulk. Ridiculous. That is like the most, oh God, he's so fucking pitiful, man. He's just so pitiful. But anyway, Dr. D, sorry, I got sidetracked, but I love it. It's weird. It's cool that it's like you said about them. They keep getting better. I'm with you. I haven't had a drop off. I've enjoyed all of them, but I really liked this one. I'm with you. I had a real good time with this one.
It just, the timing of it was one of those things that I didn't see coming, and just the reminder that you have the little expose that's gonna just bring down the business.
Oh no, the
business! and some of the stuff I'd never even seen before. But you have the little expose go down, and that's not what got Dave fired, according to, I guess, I don't know, the trial or whatever. And then he goes on what got him fired was this some type of incident that happened with Mr. T. And that's where, when you hear Dave's version of the story, you're like, huh? You just went out there and I just wanted to go see Toyo Yokozuna, one of my friends. I didn't do nothing.
Is that not what you were doing, Dave? Okay.
Promise.
Where? Good boy.
Oh, and Mr. T just happened to be there. And then you have Hogan's version of it where Dr. D just comes up there and just, I don't know if he smacks him or nobody really gave a clear version of what happened, because I think the truth kind of lies somewhere between the two, and supposedly that's what really gets him gone. And in the interim before that had happened, it's like, well, Dave, we gotta send you to Japan. I gotta let this die down, and it goes right over there and does a recreation of the smack with the reporter there, which I'd never seen that before, and I was like, oh my god,
that's awesome.
We'll just let the story die down. That didn't work.
That's a surefire way to do it.
And like what you're talking about with Hogan on the Richard Belzer show, like weeks before Mania, and chokes him out, cracks his head open, and it was fine, no big deal. And Cornette's the one's like, he could have shot him in the head. He wasn't going to get fired over that.
That's absolutely true, man. But that was something. Corny and Brian didn't much care for it. They thought it was cheesy and in poor taste. I thought it was hilarious that Richard Belzer bought him a place in France and he named it Chateau Hogan. I thought that was hilarious.
Chateau Hogan.
It was all like, well, yeah, and all that lawsuit money. Yeah, all that lawsuit money. Yeah, you can. Well, he had to have that accelerated heart rate. He must have been on that cocaine. Really, somebody on TV in the '80s on coke. Probably pretty safe, but he still got Vince's money, whether you like it or not.
I think he earned it a lot more than John did.
Stossel absolutely shouldn't have gotten anything because Stossel's a complete prick. But that's all right, man.
And he came off as such a hero in this episode because he was just concerned about the people getting duped and shim-shammed by this shyster man who does his wrestling show.
Yeah, it was the one thing I got to be honest. It was the one thing I did appreciate about Stossel is Stossel basically is like, all you people are idiots, and I'm going to show you what idiots you are, and I still think you're idiots. And it's like, well, first of all, F you, but secondly, okay, at least you're honest about it, because what he didn't do was what we talked about with Vince Russo. I had to teach that JBL a lesson, and Eddie Mansfield was the exact same way. I just really unionized wrestling. I was trying to help the boys. It's like, you liar. You're such a piece of crap.
This had all this time has passed, like, well, that's why I did it.
Totally. It's all like, if you could show me video the whole time you're cutting your head open to show Stossel the way you do it, la-di-da. If you had said the word union one time, I might buy it. But you didn't. And you got lots of TV time. You could have talked about that, but you didn't care about that at the time, so you weren't going to talk about it. That revisionist crap I can't stand. So at least in Stossel's defense, at least he's the same prick he's always been. So, okay, cool.
And I was right surprised at that, because there were some people's reviews are like, I was surprised how good Eddie Mansfield came off. It's like, what show did you see? Because I didn't see the same show.
I guess if you believe that total crap he's putting out there, yeah, exactly. If you believe what he's saying, okay, but he's lying. So those of us that don't believe him for 1 second are like, no, he's based.
I get some of what he's saying about, like, why am I going to protect the kayfabe when it didn't do nothing for me? Like, well, I think that's another thing that Cornette kind of nailed him on. Like, he was this guy that just got told that thanks but no thanks and got pissy about it, and like, well, I'll show them what for.
Exactly. And he's the little, I can't remember his name, but I'm sorry, 300, the kid that's born deformed, and they throw him down the hill, and he comes back later, and he's going to, by golly, I can be a Spartan.
Yeah.
That's Eddie Mansfield, man. But it's the same thing. Well, why should I look out for them? They didn't look out for me. Again, keep that tone. As long as you say that the whole time, I'd have a lot more respect for you. But whenever you try to start making it, I did it for the boys. No, I did it for the boys. Like, man, you lying. I can't stand that. It's like you're lying, and it's bad enough you lying. But it's the Russo thing, trying to cover yourself in glory along the way. Like, get out of here, man. Just be the same piece of crap you always were, man. And it's okay, because the thing is, if you make that decision and then you regret it, you can always tell people at any point, like, man, that was crap. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
You can do that, but it's not that though. It's not that I regret it. It's that I was doing this completely other thing the whole time. I lie.
He put the boys on the level with slavery. And that's the line that kind of stood out. Like, Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. He forgot to free the wrestlers. And like,
yeah,
and that was one of those kind of things. Like, in the middle of the show, like, what did he just say?
Yeah,
and for anybody to watch that episode, be like, man, he really did come off pretty good. I think he knows what he's talking about, good brother. I'm like, no,
I'm with you. I missed that episode.
Yeah, the one, and I'm surprised I haven't heard this legal term before, but damn, did they nail it with the jural somatic illness that John Stossel had. That's, straight up, and, and another thing to his credit, he does kind of say, like, and it did go away when I got paid.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because that's what you were down for, good
Absolutely.
brother. That's what it was all about. And at the same time, getting back to what you were talking about, I think Richard Belzer deserved a lot more of what he got, just because, first of all, that was a hardcore smack that he gets on the floor. And who the hell? Because don't ask me how I know, but if you're going to choke somebody out, how are you going to do it like that? My experiences of what I've seen done, I mean, it shouldn't take that long if you're any damn good at it. It's boom, quick, and that's all it takes. And usually it's from behind when you were in the when you would come up to somebody in the locker room or at the lockers in high school, and it sometimes was done accidental, where you would kind of come up behind somebody and do a quick choke, and I've seen guys get kind of dropped, but I just don't understand why it was taking that long. And to me, it's, you're not just knocking somebody out. You're trying to hurt them at that point. You're trying to choke them out. You're trying to, do what you did with your 24-inch pythons. You can't hold somebody. You can't hold somebody up after you knocked them out and you knew that was going to happen. That was done deliberately. And for that to have been done with the lead up, just weeks going into WrestleMania, I think Dr. D has a really good gripe with, like, why am I the villain here?
Yeah, that's the problem I had too, particularly with the whole Belzer thing was set up. I mean, this was the point, but it's like, yeah, but Dr. D had just done this thing, so y'all were just trying to capitalize on another channel, and okay. But it just that was what I didn't get either. It's like, okay, this guy's so toxic, we got to fire him. But and again, it was Hulk. Hulk can get away with anything, but it just that whole thing just seemed dumb to me, man. Yeah, Hulk's front face lock and all that. That was my thing. Is I can't believe he couldn't. You can't tell this dude's like out. I mean, seriously, you can at least like keep him from bumping his darn head, man. But whatever.
Ease him down in the slightest instead of just letting him free fall like you did.
Seriously.
And my other thing from the episode that I had never seen this footage before. Maybe I'm stupid for not seeing it or just totally overlooking it. But the Undertaker in full gimmick at the New Jersey Athletic Commission or whatever they were doing. And when, Mansfield's doing his whole diatribe, like, I did it for the boys, and he's out there talking about turn them to kayfabe. And I had never seen that footage before of the Undertaker with the politician's kid. I'm
not sure why you would gimmick up the Undertaker to go to any athletics mission. By the
Teardrop
time,
Undertaker too.
oh yeah, by the time, yeah, especially with Teardrop Taker. By that time, listen, everybody can kill Eddie Mansfield all they want to, and he deserves it because he's a piece of crazy liar. That's what I don't like about him. If you want to go and dime on the business, okay, but you're gonna have to eat it. But the problem I've got is Eddie Mansfield going on 2020 didn't do near as much damage to kayfabe as Vince McMahon swearing under oath that it was fake so he didn't have to pay taxes. And the fact that he then didn't have to pay taxes tells you what he told you was the truth. Because if you think any government agency is going to let you out of paying taxes for anything less than the 1,000% truth, wow, somebody ain't never paid no taxes before. And so you're crazy. There's no freaking way. The fact that the government was like, yeah, okay, it's not a sport. You can take that crap to the bank, brother, because if they thought they could get a dime out of you by being like, no, but it had to have been proven to them, and it was. But that's always another one of those things he always, again, that is the biggest disconnect I have with Corny and Last, is the Jim Cornette tries to draw a parallel between the end of the territory system and Kenny Omega, and it just ain't there, man.
That's a big gap.
It drives me nuts, and I'm like, look, I appreciate that the decimation of the territories is down to that guy that used to write you paychecks, and maybe you don't want to talk about that, but that doesn't make it less factual. That's what happened. Kenny Omega wasn't doing anything in pro wrestling long. There was a huge gap between the territories dying and then Kenny Omega even being a thing. Young Bucks jumping on the trampoline in their backyard. Nah, man, there's no parallel there. Basically, what you've got with the indie guys is dudes trying to rebuild a territory system with nothing to reference it. Because all wrestling has been pretty much their whole lives is Vince, and more Vince. So this is what you get. And some of it does suck. Some of it's pretty good. Excuse me.
Man, that was just where I was at on that episode, man. I just thought it's one of those kind of, I'm never surprised that I like him, but sometimes like, man, that's didn't expect to like this nearly as much as I did, and I did.
That was me exactly. It's like, I'm totally with you. It's not that it surprised me that I liked it, but how much I liked it. That was a very nice, pleasant surprise, man. All right.
Yeah, man. That was, and just the I guess, it's Dr. D's episode. I don't feel like I talked about him enough, but I was surprised how likable he was. As a dude and as a person. Like, I didn't think I was gonna like this guy at all, and he seems to be super cool.
I thought the thing about David, Dr. D. David. It's one of those things where, like, personality-wise, we might get along, we might not, but how real that dude is and how straight up he is with like who he is, whether I like him or not, I respect the crap out of that. And
respect's the better word.
Yeah, and I might like him in particular because of that. But I love that. I thought he just seemed super, super real, and that's cool because there's some people on those shows that seem just like Eddie Mansfield, complete fraud, man. Just a complete phony.
Way too corny for my taste.
Yeah, not as bad as Russo, but Russo is the ultimate just liar. He's just a liar. But Dr. D's kind of got that Dutch Mantel thing of like they just seem like, brother, what you see is what you get. That's them, and I love that. I think that's so cool, man.
Even down to I'm sure that them getting crap about his little not so family friendly promos with the wife and kids and firing off the guns. He's like, those weren't my kids. Those weren't even my guns.
Yeah, it's for real. Absolutely nothing in that their trailer had anything to do with me at all. I don't care. If I blow one of them kids' heads off, what do I care?
Then he has his life after the business of being the world's foremost bounty hunter. And I'm just waiting for him to cut a promo on Dog. Be like, Dog the bounty hunter. Be like, that was my show. Stole my show. I went to Puerto Rico going after this girl back. And that was part of just some of the stories. Like, man, it's one of those kind of things that maybe it didn't quite go down that way, but a lot of that's got to be legit. Tracking guys down and saving these girls that have been kidnapped and this, that, and other things. Like, man, it's a cool story.
It was a good one, man. Like, I did that one, and then I did Dino yesterday. So my last 2 doses of the show. Dino's, like you said, man. Dino Bravo is incredibly sad because it's just there's a lot of footage of his wife and his daughter, and it's like it's rough, man. But it's a good episode. It's quite cool, and there was a couple of things that I particularly liked about it. I love the footage of non-WWF Dino because I've never seen any, and that's just cool. But there is that one picture that I just absolutely loved, man. It was him and Andre in the locker room playing poker. I think they were playing poker. That was an awesome picture because I'm such an Andre mark, but I'm just like, of course they speak French. Of course they'd be buds. That's awesome. Yeah. But it was there was a lot of cool stuff in that one too. And like I was telling the man earlier, I'll say it now, on the subject of dudes that come across as like really sincere and just cool, man. Freaking Jacques Rougeau, man. Jacques Rougeau seems like the coolest brother on the block. I love that guy. And he said, I was asking Jared, I was like, I don't know what type of DDP yoga the Mounties got going on, but that sucker, he has kept trim. That guy looks great, man. Like, I wouldn't mess with Jacques Rougeau now. Forget that.
Looks way good for his age.
Yeah, dude. Go on, man.
Yeah, I hate how people always qualify that for his age. It looks good regardless, but looks compared to some people from that era,
contemporaries.
He looks amazing. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, bro. It's like this is just cool, man. It was nice to see him because I like the Rougeaus. It was funny. The Rougeaus had that Paul Orndorff thing where they were bad guys this week, good guys the next week. Now I'm a bad guy again, but I'm kind of in the middle. Now I'm a good guy. Now I'm a good guy, but now I'm a bad guy. They were always switching. And it could really kill it either way. Orndorff is a guy I always say, man, I think is probably the most natural 50-50 guy I've ever seen. Because no matter whatever he's doing, if I'm supposed to pull for him, I pull for him. And if I'm supposed to dislike him, I dislike him. But he was good at that, man. He was always real good. And the Rougeaus were too, man.
Yeah. Man. Well, you said something about watching the Mindy Kaling show?
I did watch the Mindy Kaling show because I love her, so I had to tune in. It's Never Have I Ever, I'm pretty sure is what it's called. And it took me about 3 days, and I finished it up. And it's definitely worth a look if you like Mindy as much as I do. I love me some Mindy Kaling, so I had to watch it. And it wasn't great. I mean, it's not like it blew me away or I'm like, oh, God, this is the best thing ever. But I did like it, and I enjoyed it, and there were several things that are super culturally specific to folks from India. I love stuff like that because I'd never know otherwise. It's like things that we don't. It's out of our realm of experience, so it would be beyond our ability to assume or even imagine. I love stuff like that. It's always really, really fun.
There's a lot of stuff like that you don't know.
Totally. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it, man. That's totally it. It's like, wow, you don't even. That's great. That's perfectly said, man. I like it. But it's a cool show, and it's funny, and the girl's funny, and the guy that plays her dad is awesome. That character's great, and her buds are quite. It's strange because for most of it, it's just like typical high school friend. That's okay. They were good. They did a good job with it. But then they kind of, particularly with one of them, they start fleshing out a little bit. I shouldn't say with one of them because the thing was there's this time over the course of the series where Desi is the character's name. Desi is kind of moving over here. So the rest of the friend group is kind of over here doing their own thing. And I thought a lot of that stuff, the way they wrote it, was like super clever because they're not just sitting around bummed that their friend's not hanging out with them anymore. Not every single conversation is about that. Pardon me. It was cool. It was just like, all right, I like it. And it's not great, but it's good. And it's Mindy, and I'm obsessed with her stuff, man. I like as much as I just.
Is she in the show, or she's just writing?
She wrote it. She wrote it, and like came up with it, and but no, it's not in it, which is even more cool, I think.
Rare.
Yeah, lots of jobs for Indian actors and actresses, and not that one. I'm like, cool. It was neat, man. But as far as I know, it's like the Amy Poehler Russian doll thing. Amy might have just produced that, but she ain't in it. That's the whole thing. Is like, no, this needs to get made. So here's some money. Go make it. And I love stuff like that. I think that's cool when people produce stuff and their hands off. But the one thing about it that the one more thing about it that I have to say is for anybody that watched Arrested Development and loved the narrator, because the Ron Howard narrator character is one of the best things about Arrested Development. They have taken that, because most of the stuff, like I know Mindy Kaling narrates it, and that's a great show. That show is underrated as crap, man.
I remember liking that show a good bit.
Yeah, it's so good, man. So narration is a thing that she likes, and I will not tell you why, because it ruins it if I tell you why. But I swear to God, lots of inspiration from Ron Howard as far as the things, not the things he says, but just the way it's thrown in. The frickin' John McEnroe is the narrator for that series. I will not explain why, but it's exactly, man. McEnroe is so awesome and so funny. And it was they explain what's going on, and then they give you a little something extra. And I don't want to ruin either one of those things, but it was awesome. As soon as he's trying to talk, and I'm like, holy crap! And then he introduces himself, and I'm like, oh, it is him. That's awesome.
Wicked Johnny.
Oh, Joe, watch out, Johnny.
Awesome.
You know a little bit about losing your cool, don't you? That I do. I absolutely love the way he says that line in that movie. That I do.
I was so bummed out the last time Mr. Deeds was on Comedy Central. I don't know if it's something to do with a sponsorship or what, but the Big Bacon Classic scene is edited out.
Man,
like, y'all are wrong for that.
You cut the Big Bacon Classic, you've done messed that movie up. I mean, it's one of the best things in that entire movie, man.
It goes straight from Taking Off at Mandrake Falls to Ground Control for Major Tom, and I was like, something's missing.
That's not right. Wait a minute.
No, it was Big Bacon Classic.
Man.
Sitting outside, a helicopter sitting outside of the Wendy's.
Yeah, it's sitting outside of Wendy's. So glad I got the Big Bacon Classic. It's one of my favorite lines in any movie ever.
It's just real relatable. We're like, oh yeah, that's what I would do.
If I had a private helicopter, that's just what I would stop for too. I'm totally with you, man.
Take me to Wendy's.
Take me to Wendy's. Man, I thought about Take Me to Wendy's in a long time, man.
That's the old school Horatio jam.
Oh, man. Take me to Wendy's.
Man, I had, speaking of this old Saturday Night Live stuff that just kind of, I was surprised at out of nowhere. I probably don't need to waste anybody's time with it, but that there was this old skit that came across YouTube that I completely forgotten about. It was Will Forte and Kristen Wiig doing their country western singer selling the album skit.
Yeah, okay.
Oh man, it's worth the look. It was worth the look at. It's just some of the faces he can make singing and the stuff they're singing about. It's funny enough they're singing about jars of beer and getting advice from a toddler. On top of all that, just the way they look. It's like, oh my God, this is. I don't understand. Is this funny, or am I just digging some type of weird performance art?
I gotta check that. I ain't seen that one, so I gotta check that out, man.
Oh man, it's a triumph.
Yeah. Man, what have been the SNL things I've been on? I know we talked about the Californians, man. Stewart has cancer. Oh, yeah. The Californian Stewart has cancer is, and it's. I mean, the dress rehearsal's funny too, but I don't know, man. They're both funny, but that regular one where, I mean, it's the dress rehearsal. None of them make it through it, and I think that's the reason that when they get to the actual show and Fred Armisen kills it, it just kills the other two because they were all relying on him to not be able to do it either, and then he killed it, and they're like, "We're dead. We're dead now." It's just so awesome, man. Oh, man, I can't believe there was something else I watched recently that I loved. The Undercover Office Toilet is fantastic. If you haven't seen that, check that one out. That is
the one everything in the office is a toilet.
Yes, eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, first of all, it's the lamp, and then it's everything. It was golly, I think it's Beck Bennett. I'm pretty sure that's who's the
Yeah.
star of that. And then Bill Hader's the boss, and man, I can't remember who else is
What's
in
that
it.
smell in here?
Yeah, oh man, I think it's this lamp. Did you go to the bathroom in this lamp? These lamps? I don't think so. I don't think so. I like these lamps too, as though it matters. It's like, well, if you're talking about these ones in particular, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Yeah. Man, this is freaking thing, man. I can see his daggum face now, and I can't think of his name for nothing. Anyway, I'm sorry, man, but that's Undercover Office Toilet is hilarious.
Yeah.
Casey Affleck's Dunkin' Donuts commercial is
Lord.
fantastic. Yeah. I love that one. Oh, I know what I saw. It's something that you told me to watch, and I appreciate it. I finally got back on the At Home episode, and there were things on it that I liked. There was some stuff that was all right. But I'm with you, man. The Melissa Villaseñor's date, that was hilarious, dude. I loved that. That was so awesome, man.
So, just her date with her imaginary friend.
Did you clog my toilet? Yeah, I loved that. I thought it was awesome.
Clip your toenails. My legs are all cut up.
Legs are all cut up. I'm like totally biased because I love her anyway, but that I don't know what I was expecting, but I loved what I got. It was great, man.
Man, the last At Home episode that I saw, it was one of those kind of things that when I first saw it, I was like, I'm just not getting this. They're just kind of going around the grocery stores saying what's left over, really, really weird. But I had missed the joke that Dasani water was like the last water sold during the Russia's quarantine. But when it's 80 Bryant, the way she says, "What's wrong with it? It's water." I lost it on that.
My thing about the Dasani jokes this is why I loved it as much as I did, where they have like Dasani and then low sodium Dasani and then vegetarian Dasani. All three of those things are actually true. Believe it or not, they actually, Dasani that's the one that Coke puts salt in, so you'll buy more of it. So the idea that you could have a low sodium water, you can actually make that joke. And then as far as the vegetarian thing, where they process them, where they take the stuff, man, literally Dasani water does not qualify as vegetarian. So the two like bonus versions of Dasani are things that actually could exist. I thought that was ingeniously funny. Like, how in the world did y'all make this good? I loved it. Like, this is awesome, man.
I forget the name of the grocery store, but it's 80 Bryant and Kate McKinnon just going around, just trying to come by the leftover chunk so we can get some more stuff in at our Bedman's grocery store, or whatever it was called. But it's there's nothing wrong with it. It's water. Was funny to me, and I loved Impossible Lobster.
Impossible Lobster. Impossible. I remember Pepto-Bismol Oreos. Impossible Lobster. I'm with you. Most of the products I don't remember, but the one line that I did love, man, I think it was Kate McKinnon is like, "We want to stock the products you want to buy, but first you have to buy the products we have." It's like, you got to get this crap out of here, then we'll bring in the things you want. But first you have to buy the products we have. Yeah, the Dasani thing, that cracked me up. That was incredibly clever. Like, oh my God.
But it was one of those kind of jokes where I was kind of like, there's something to this that I've missed, obviously. Then it kind of got explained to me. It's like, oh, okay, I get it. But I thought that was pretty good. But in anything that Melissa Villaseñor does, I'm gonna like, just because
I'm biased as hell. I love her stuff, man.
Yeah, he's one of the funnier ones they have on the show, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Melissa's one of the ones that I watch for. Who else to have? Because most of the cast I actually like pretty good. Oh, I know something else that was hilarious, and I want to point it out because I'm not a huge Colin Jost guy. Colin had a line that, I was in the floor over, And it was just, he did such a good job holding it together. So it makes me nuts. Him and Michael Che, too often, in my opinion, do that fake laugh thing. And it frustrates me because when they actually really do enjoy something, it's quite funny. Like the joke that Michael Che had never read before that he had to read. See, that was real. They were both really like laughing at that, and it was enjoyable because that was fun.
Yeah.
But him talking about the Texas lieutenant governor or whoever it was that had the there's more important things than living, the little quote, which, incidentally is also the slogan for the KFC $20 fill-up. Thanks for this big-ass bucket of chicken. There's more important things than living. But he did good because he, stone-faced it the whole time. He got through it, didn't smile or nothing. It was 10 times funnier. Which, interestingly enough, is also the slogan for the KFC $20 fill-up. That was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a jerk to Colin, and I don't get to give him love very often, so I'm glad I got to do that because that he cracked me up on that.
Yeah. Anymore, it's pretty much anybody that does Weekend Update for the past, feels like 10 years, and like, I'm just not going to be into this.
Who after Tina Fey was worth watching?
I was trying to think if it's anybody.
Seems to me that, and there's a lot of good Weekend Updates before that. But if you tell me that in your opinion Tina turned out the light when she left, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you. Because that was her and Amy, man. I should have said it really was both of them. I should have said it that way. But Tina and Amy, man, that really was something pretty fantastic. Speaking
of Tina Fey, and speaking of Netflix shows coming back, have you heard about the Kimmy Schmidt episode they're doing? From what I understand, it is getting ready to come out soon. It's essentially going to be a reunion show, Choose Your Own Adventure.
Okay, cool.
Episode where I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's going to be on Netflix, where apparently you get to certain situations where you get to kind of choose at this point what's going to happen. So
hell yeah,
just the idea of doing that is man, and plus that show was awesome to me. So talk about a show leaving you wanting more. That was one of the ones that did it.
Yeah, Kimmy was interesting because the first 2 seasons I absolutely loved. 3 I only saw once. 4 I only saw once. So I need to go back in and watch them all again because I bought DVDs of the first season. I watch it all the time because I love it, and I need to get the second season too because I loved it. That show is shockingly good. It's one of those things where this is kind of sucky because it's gonna sound like I don't want to diss the new Mindy Kaling show because I do like it. But there's just this thing about the way the dialogue is written. There was a joke on an episode of Kimmy Schmidt one time, and it was she was dissing the internet. She was explaining why she hates the internet. And she's talking about how basically her line is that everybody on the internet is Chandler. Everybody on the internet is sarcastic and has it together and is, hey, cool guy, zoom, zoom, got the funny line, haha. It's like everyone's Chandler. And unfortunately, that has become the rule for sitcom writing. Every single character is that guy. And it's like Friends gets blasted for all the characters are white and they're all generic and they're all young. And people aren't wrong for blasting it for that because a lot of really crappy TV shows then tried to follow that. Tina Fey did the best job of breaking that down of what the problem. She said the problem with Friends is that it became the rule and not the exception because most television shows that people actually care about, you have diverse cast, and I don't necessarily just mean black people and white people and brown people. What I mean is you have people from different economic backgrounds, people from different. Cheers was the example she was using. She's like, what 2 people on Cheers look alike? The answer is none of them. Yeah. But it's just about how cast, make your cast unique, make people different, make them stand out and look different from each other, and people love that. And unfortunately, Friends homogenized everybody because everybody's the good-looking lead, the 20-something go-getter, haha, and it's like you do it 6 times over, and then everybody is doing that, and it sucks, and she ain't wrong. She's not wrong. Unfortunately, the whole thing about everyone's Chandler, that was the one thing that I thought hurt the new Mindy Kaling show is everybody makes the same witty, snappy, sarcastic comments. And also, this is very mean, but it's true. the next time we're going to do a story set in high school where there is a gay character in a high school, especially if it's a boy, will you please go hire somebody that lived as that kid, so maybe once we can get a slightly different take on that character, because it's always the same character all the time. And the frustration I have with it is this. I think that Tina, again, I love Tina so much, obviously, but she talks about this in her book. It's one of the better chapters in the book. I think what happens when we write gay characters, especially for people in high school, they're way too put together, way too confident, always have the smart ass reply, always have the cool hey hey hoo hoo, you know, and it just seems way too easy, because I cannot imagine being gay in high school being that easy. I just can't see it that way. So I think maybe if you hired someone that lived through it, if you want to pepper it, that's fine, but at least have the character have a scene where that facade goes away, because you can't be that all the time. I just think it would make the character more real. And it sucks because this is just very much a secondary sidebar character, but it's the same gay kid in high school that you see all the time. And I'm like, man, I just would like to see this character fleshed out a little bit more, because it just can't, they can't, and not everyone can be, I don't know, it's a stupid thing to complain about, but if you want to take an episode off and do the episode for the gay character, and because it's interesting, because actually one of the lead characters on the show is presented very much as this one thing, and then you do have that sidebar episode where it's him at home and his life is totally different than it looks like. Man, just do that. It's a stupid complaint, but again, I'm like, stop it. It just feels to me like it's this overly romanticized thing where if we went to school with somebody who was gay, if we worked with somebody who was gay, in our heads, because we're so enlightened and we think it's so cool that we're friends with this person, you put too many exclamation points on it, and it's like, it can't be that easy all the time. So instead of trying to make it difficult or write it difficult, go talk to this person that you know, or better still, hire somebody that's got the experience and that'll talk about it. It's a long thing to get off on, and it's certainly not Never Have I Ever's exclusive property. This happens all the time. And it's like, look, man, gay characters, queer characters are becoming much more prominent on everywhere, all formats, everywhere. And that's cool, because it's good to have stories about everybody, but for the love of God, let people tell their own stories. And I don't know, it's just, it's irking me, man, because it's becoming, Jack from Will and Grace is too much of an archetype now. Everybody tries to make their gay character Jack, and it's like, I don't know, man. I think over the course of I didn't watch Will and Grace, but I'm assuming that he got fleshed out a little bit. Sometimes things are good, sometimes things aren't. But anyway, I'm getting way in the deep water over here. Sorry about that. But I'll be very excited when you have a high school story with gay kids in it that sometimes things are good and sometimes things aren't. Because I don't know. I don't. It seems presumptuous to think it's that easy all the time, and I don't know, man. Let me ask, instead of putting words in your mouth, let me ask you. You write it down, and then we'll make the show. But it really is. It's crappy of me to say that about that show, because it really wasn't a big thing there. It's just like kind of a tipping point. Like, man, this is like the 9th time I've seen this. Man, come on now, somebody do different.
Yeah, you get to start noticing some of the cookie cutter kind of characters. I feel like we've seen this tripe before.
Yeah, I agree, and it's like, all right, man, come on now.
I don't think it was, well, I guess I just need to go watch the show. I guess what I need to do.
It's definitely worth a watch. It's cool, man. It's pretty cool. Man, what else did I watch recently? Oh, I know what I watched. I didn't watch all of it. I taped it. I did not watch all of it. But the Grammys were doing the tribute to Prince. So I'm like, yes, let's watch this. So I recorded it and fast forwarded through most of it, because most of it I don't know. It's okay. It's cool. I'm glad everybody got together and had a nice night and it was all cool. But all I wanted to see was Morris Day and the Time, and they are still, him and Jerome still hit the Somebody Bring Me a Mirror. They do it fantastically. It was great. Time was awesome. And then you get to the end of the show, and Fred Armisen says, or he talks about how cool it is that he gets to see one of his best friend and her best friend live out a fantasy. and he announces Princess and the Revolution, and it's Maya Rudolph, and I'm not sure who her tag team partner is singing. Well, I just don't know who it was. She had a cool voice, but I don't know who it was. Anyway, they're up there bopping around with the Revolution, and it's real cool, but it wouldn't have mattered to me. All I cared about was the Revolution. Jared knows this. I will tell you guys this now. My mom is a massive music fan, so my brother and I got turned on to music extremely early in life. And the most like molding and shaping rock and roll moment in my life to this day is it's basically these billowy clouds of purple smoke, and you wind up with this funky little keyboard line, and there's this guy dressed as a doctor kind of doing the thing, and it's all good. And then you get this shot of these, it basically looks like this Siamese twin two-headed girl, one with blonde hair, one with big brown hair, one of them basically playing keyboards like this, because I don't think Jill actually played, but Lisa Coleman actually plays. So they're doing that, and they sing the first line of the song, and they say, "I was dreaming when I wrote this." I don't remember the first lyric now. "Forgive me if I go astray."
Yeah.
Then you got this dude with this cool funky headband, and he says, "But when I woke up this morning, I could have sworn it was Judgment Day." And this whole time, there's this dude in this purple coat coming down this pole. And when it gets to that lyric, he runs up, grabs the microphone, and says, "The sky was all purple. There were people running everywhere, trying to run from the destruction. I didn't even care." Never the same after that. I was probably 4 when I saw that video. I've never been the same since, man. The Revolution is still the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. And now, getting to see them 36 years after the first time I saw them, it's still true. They are so cool, man. I couldn't believe it. It was so cool to see them. I was telling the man earlier, they come out and do Delirious, and they start playing Delirious. It's all good, and they get to the little downbeat, man, and all of them dip the shoulder. And the first time I saw Lisa do that, I came up off the sofa because I did not know they were going to do. They were still doing it. They're still performing it. Yeah. And it was great. And it was good to see Lisa. I've been in love with Lisa Coleman my entire life. I still am. She's the coolest. I love her. So that was neat, and it was good to see her. But beyond that, after they finished that song, Jimmy Jam comes out, and he announces Mavis Staples, because he's explaining that this is like one of Prince's favorite singers ever. So Mavis comes out to sing Purple Rain with the Revolution. So much like the movie Purple Rain, Wendy goes not really to the front, but she plays the opening to Purple Rain. And Wendy Melvoin's a bad guitar player anyway, man. I mean, she's in Prince's band. She bad. Everyone knows she's bad. But she's playing it, we're doing it, it's all good, man, it's cool, Mavis is killing it, it's all nice, man. Oh, let me tell you what happens. Once Mavis says she wants to see us bathing in the purple rain, Wendy Melvoin hit a stomp box somewhere, and I mean absolutely killed that solo to the point that, I mean, I was like tearing up. I got off the sofa twice. It was unreal, and I don't know what I was expecting. But the solo from Purple Rain might be the best guitar solo of all time in terms of just how much it fits the song. It's lovely. It's fantastic. Purple Rain and Comfortably Numb it's tight. It's hard to pick between those two, but the solo for Purple Rain is fantastic, and you can interpret it if you want to, but Wendy didn't. Wendy played the solo from Purple Rain. It was awesome. It's totally worth. I think CBS does a lot of YouTube stuff. I'm sure it's on there. It's worth watching just to watch her kill that thing, because it was amazing. So you get to the end, and you get to the nice little outro, man, and it's where the woo 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 part comes in. So between Mavis's woo woo woos and Wendy playing the it was freaking awesome. I loved it. I was so glad that I was able to see that, because I am like I'm doing right now. It's like Magic Johnson, the Revolution, Andre the Giant, Captain America. There are just certain things from when I was a little kid that will always make me like little kid freak out when I think about them. God, it was so cool. I loved it.
Yes, the jam.
It was awesome. It was awesome. And Mark Brown, the bass player, man, he's Sidney Moncrief. That man hasn't aged since First Avenue. It's like, holy smokes, he looks great.
Younger now than he did then.
Yeah, so
how can it be?
For real, yeah. Mark Brown is aging in reverse. He's Benjamin Button. Benjamin Button played bass for Prince.
Man, I like that stuff when you get the Grammy special tribute night or for this person or this album or whatever it was. So I always like to check in on those.
It's cool.
I will. if not on YouTube, it's got to be on the CBS website. So
Yeah.
one way or the other, you can check it out.
Totally see it. It's really good. I think you'll dig it. And
Yeah.
if you're in the mood, I haven't checked it out. I listened to the first lyric of it, and it was cool. I was in the mode to go watch the Revolution. But Beck was on, and Beck did Raspberry Beret. And it was like, all right, it was pretty neat. Like, just what little I heard of it was pretty neat. The other one that I thought was particularly cool is Chris Martin from Coldplay. And he didn't perform by himself. Chris Martin performed with Susanna Hoffs from the Bangles. Mm-hmm. So it's just a piano, and it's him doing Manic Monday. And it's both of them singing it, but mostly her singing it. And it's like, because I don't know if there's a great story about that song. Is that because if you've ever seen, we all know Apollonia. We all know Prince had a type. Big brown hair, big brown eyes. Prince had a type. Mm-hmm. So if you've ever seen the Walk Like an Egyptian video where Susanna Hoffs does the eye thing, it's like, that was love at first sight. Prince loved her, and I get it, because Susanna Hoffs kind of has that Rita Wilson thing going on, where Rita's always been a very pretty lady, but every time I see her, it's like, God, she's better looking than I remembered. And Susanna Hoffs looks totally different because she's not a young woman anymore. But what she looks like now, man, she's lovely. I guess, that's a beautiful woman, man. She looks awesome and did a good job singing the song. But anyway, the story is apparently that Prince was smitten, and he went out to his studio at Paisley Park and wrote the song Manic Monday. And then got all the sheet music and the lyrics and packaged them up and sent them to Susanna Hoffs, care of whatever record company, la-di-da, with a note that said, "Congratulations on your first #1," because he knew he'd just written it for her, and that was his gift to the Bangles because he thought they were cool. And he was right. It was #1.
That's awesome.
It's cool, man. That's a great story.
It's one of those kind of stories that if you hear about somebody and you're like, with all of the stuff I've heard about him, that's got to be true.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah. That one's totally believable, man.
Yeah. Sounds on brand.
Dude, it's very, very on brand for Prince. On brand.
Shoot, man. Before this phone battery dies.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. You good to let me freak out about the Revolution, though. That was great.
Oh, man, that's cool. Man, I will see y'all.
Take it easy, y'all.
That's what's up.